Men, welcome to the most important podcast that you'll hear in a long time. It's the Men's Leadership Community Podcast, and it starts now.
Wrapping up a great series today, Obie, the feedback loop, value, advantage, and then benefits. Today, we're really going to talk about why great leaders should practice this, not only at work, but at home. We should be practicing this at our churches. And then, of course, Obie, you put in, your WhatsApp last night. We're going to lead by example. The MLC should be doing this with one another so that we can continue to grow. And one of the key things that maybe we don't think about with the feedback loop is when you are actively utilizing feedback loops, you're not only creating culture, but you're instilling it, reinforcing it. So if you're not doing feedback loops and you're not getting that kind of information to where you can continue to grow, adapt, maybe be corrected, maybe be encouraged, your culture is taking place without you having any leadership in it. So culture and feedback go hand in hand. And I really love this from Simon Sinek this week, Obie, from our Monday Morning Momentum, if you want to share this.
Yeah, he says it's important not just to ask for feedback, but to create a space for it during regular meetings and then following up on the feedback received.
And that's what we're actually trying to do this morning, our regular Friday morning, and we're going to do a feedback loop with each other on the MLC. And the importance of that is creating a culture then of feedback that's ongoing, Obie.
Yep. Because leaders should be advocating for creating environments where feedback is encouraged and valued, where people feel safe to share their thoughts and perspectives. And I'll tell you, Andy, anytime I've worked in a place that is toxic, this is missing.
Yeah. Well, and the same thing in marriages and the same thing in parenting. It was really interesting to find out this week that both of us as fathers were practicing this with our sons and didn't even know it, weren't even talking to each other about it, but how it builds that culture and that atmosphere of our young men feeling like they're heard and they're able to talk to us about things that are on their heart and their mind. Don't you think that our wives want to feel that same way and that our workspaces want to feel that same kind of culture being created of the ability to speak and be heard? So I think it's a really big deal.
Yeah. Well, wouldn't you want that, right?
So the importance of creating a culture of feedback. We took this from the Apostle Paul, who knew a thing or two about feedback. He was not afraid to give it, and he was not afraid to listen to it. But for Paul, it was always to be done in love and for the purpose of, like Obie, you said, the other person's good and God's glory. I thought this was a great verse about healthy feedback loops.
Yep. Do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouth, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. And this is something, Andy, that I have to harp on my kids constantly, right? I tell O2, especially now since he's getting older, hey, buddy, what you say, I want you I want your default to be speaking life and encouragement, because sarcasm has a way of just becoming what your default. I was like, and I don't want your default to be sarcasm and jabs. I want it to be life-giving words of wisdom and encouragement.
Yeah, daily affirmations, I think, on SNL it used to be with Jack Handy.
Yes.
You're smart enough, you're good enough, and doggone it, people like you, Obie. Well, here's a frequently asked question. Did Jesus use the feedback loop with his disciples? The answer, of course, is yes. We'll give that away. But you might be surprised that he did positive feedback loops. Obie, he did corrective feedback loops. And then he did reinforcing feedback loops, which reinforced what he wanted them to continue not only to learn, but to live out. So we got a couple of great key passages looking at three different avenues of the way that you operate feedback loops. Let's start with a positive one. What's interesting to me, Obie, is the positive, the corrective, and the reinforcing all come from one particular section of scripture where he's engaging his disciples, and he does all three at once, which I thought was beautiful when we talked about last week. Start positive, then go to the corrective, and then end with the reinforcing of the things that you want to continue with. And I found it really amazing that we already had this in here, that this is the way that Jesus operated. So take us through the positive first from Matthew 16. Sorry, that says Mark. It's supposed to say Matthew. Matthew 16, 13 through 19.
When Jesus came to the region of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say the Son of Man is?" And they replied, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and still others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." "But what about you?" he asked. "Who do you say that I am?" And Simon Peter answered, "You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God."
And I love this. So Jesus comes to the disciples and he does a feedback loop on, who do people say that I am? I want to hear what people are saying. Give me the feedback. But then he turns to them and says, but who do you say that I am? Are you growing in our relationship? And what's the feedback that I'm going to get from you? And of course, we know Simon Peter answers with a great response. The confession of the church, you are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. And Jesus then responds, giving him positive feedback.
Jesus replied, "Blessed are you, Simon, son of Jonah, for this was not revealed to you by flesh and blood, but by my Father in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell will not overcome it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth will be loosened in heaven."
And I love this. He not only gives positive feedback to Peter for his response, but he says, actually, your response, your confession is the rock on which this church will be built. You are the Messiah, the Son of the living God. That's the rock on which the church is built moving forward, is that confession of faith. And then because of that confession that he received as, as faith from his Father in heaven, we receive then the power to forgive or retain sins. So not only does he give positive feedback to Peter for his response, but in the confession of Jesus being the Messiah, the Son of the living God, that also comes with authority now. So Peter's been given a brand new authority. Unfortunately, it doesn't last that long. It needs some corrective feedback because Jesus immediately then says this.
From that time on, Jesus began to explain to his disciples that he must go to Jerusalem and suffer many things at the hands of the elders, the chief priests, and the teachers of the law, and that he must be killed and on the third day be raised to life. And Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. "Never, Lord," he says, "this shall never happen to you."
So Peter actually he hears the feedback from Jesus about what's to come, gives a corrective feedback loop to Jesus, which probably isn't the best idea, and says, no, this isn't the game plan. But then Jesus immediately turns around and gives corrective feedback to Peter.
Yeah. And I mean, I can relate to it. And I
Yeah.
love, I love his heart,
Mhm.
right? We've all had those friends, and hopefully you have those friends that say, "Let's go, dude. Let's rock." That's But Jesus turned to Peter and said, "Get behind me, Satan. You are a stumbling block to me. You do not have in mind the concerns of God, but merely human concerns."
Yeah, so Jesus gives him a straightforward corrective feedback loop to what he's heard in order to tell him, no, this isn't correct. And then he goes on to give all of the disciples listening a reinforcing feedback loop of what it means to be his disciples.
Then Jesus said to his disciples, "Whoever wants to be my disciple must deny themselves and take up their cross and follow me. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. What good will it be for someone to gain the whole world, yet forfeit their soul? Or what can anyone give in exchange for their soul? For the Son of Man is going to come in his Father's glory with his angels, and then he will reward each person according to what they have done."
Yeah, and this is really beautiful on reinforcing then what does it mean to be a follower of Jesus Christ? What does it mean to be a disciple? What does it mean to be a brother in Christ? Is for us to constantly be in the midst of this feedback loop with God's word, actively, daily, so that we are living our lives out with one another in faith in Jesus Christ. And the reward that God will give each person is the resurrection according to what they have done, which is believing in Jesus. So reinforcing that with one another. And Please forgive me for the typo. That should be Matthew 16 all the way through. If you want to check that out, go back and look at it. So that's Matthew chapter 16. So following that up, then, Obie, does the MLC use the feedback loop with our members and our leaders? Well, beginning with today, for sure, the answer is yes. So we're going to start off, guys, and this is open-ended. We're going to ask a couple of key questions as have guys jump in. We'd like our board members to jump in and let us know what you think, but we'd like to hear from everybody on the call. So as we have opportunity going through these, please feel free to jump in. So Obie, start us off with number one.
How'd you hear about the MLC?
Yeah, guys, throw some stuff out there.
Steve McNeese.
Steve McNeese, so a friend. Great. Awesome.
From Andy at church.
Yeah.
From you, Andy.
Yeah, good. From church. Good.
Eric Willis, a brother in Christ.
There we go. Very good.
Good.
Yeah, some others. A lot of friend referrals. Anybody from the website or from any of our social media platforms? Nobody on the call today.
I think most of it's been referrals, just, another brother telling another brother. I think we just started social media recently, so I would imagine most of it's referral,
Yeah, it's
in
good.
my opinion,
I think word of mouth from one brother to another is probably the best way for it to happen.
Yeah,
Anyway, at that grassroots level. So
Yeah.
I'll ask number two, what was the main reason for you guys choosing to try the MLC? What are some of the reasons why you guys decided to jump on a call or come to a happy hour or go to the retreat?
I think for me, it's just about trying to meet other people and have that community, because that's something that's been lacking. There's lots of acquaintances at work. So just a lot of acquaintances.
Thanks, Chad. That's the main reason why we want to exist for men. So that's perfect. Yeah. Community, JB put community also. Good. So authentic relationships, authentic community and brotherhood with one another. Marco, when we first just got together and we were talking about this 5 years ago or whatnot, what was the main reason for you?
Yeah, the main reason for me, golly, again, I love being with guys talking about Christ. I want to increase my knowledge and having friends to do that, because obviously I know you from previous. And so that was a big help, is knowing someone. But my main reason, again, was just to get closer to Jesus, to learn more, and to do it with people who know Christ. I feel better than me in terms of knowledge and et cetera.
Yeah, and just for those of you that don't know or don't remember that far back, so all of this started in COVID with just a couple of guys jumping on a Zoom call, which was really born out of my necessity and need to have community, like Chad was saying, and missing that during COVID and wanting other brothers around. So that was really huge during COVID. But then as that grew out of it, we're finding out there was just a report this week, guys, on the news, a major report that the number one cause of mental and emotional illness in men is isolation and that feeling of loneliness and not having authentic relationships, especially with other men. So yeah, really big one there for all of us is community and authentic brotherhood. So how many, let's ask, how have you been a part of men's faith-based leadership groups before? What do you find to be the same and what is different about the MLC? Let's ask a couple of guys to jump in on that have been a part of different men's groups. What's the same and what's different for you?
Some of the things that are different here are there's regular structure.
Okay.
Believe it or not, having a schedule of knowing when to get together is great. I mean, I've been in men's groups before and leadership at several churches. And even though those were formal positions in some cases, they were pretty unstructured. We'd meet whenever we met, and I like a schedule. I'm a military guy. I like a little bit of regimentation. I don't like too much, but I like knowing I can come here on Friday and get, talks that I'm not going to get anywhere else, especially since I have to go work in a woke company the rest of the day.
Yeah. Dave, really great point there. I think sometimes having that regularity, that schedule, and some structure also builds trust that you just said, we're going to be there on Friday. We're going to be there on Friday morning.
Exactly.
Yeah. So building some trust also just out of that structure. That's a great point that I wasn't even thinking of, Dave. Thanks. Yeah. Jack, over your years in leadership in the church and being a member in churches, I'm sure you've been in different men's groups. Are there similarities or differences in the things that you've been involved in?
Yeah, I guess I'd talk about the differences because I think it's very attractive of what we have here. One is that some of the groups you might be going to a location early in the morning, and so all of a sudden you kind of have to adjust your schedule and say, okay, we're going to meet at this coffee shop, and not that that's a big deal, but having this is the convenience of having everything on Zoom and being able to do this virtually is very attractive. You can still continue your day and have this. I think that's one of the big things that attracted me to this. Also, the
Nice.
regular, the regular time. It's going to go from 7 to 8, 8:15 or so. And
most of the time we're pretty good on the time.
and there's a structure. There's a structure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's I've had some where we've done a structure where it might be, a Bible study or a particular book or Bible study. But this is it also goes to leadership and having a constant leader, Andy, between you and Obie.
Yeah.
That's very helpful. There's some groups where you rotate as to who the teacher is going to be for a lesson or two or three, and sometimes that works. Sometimes it doesn't work as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Good feedback. Anybody else on that one? Maybe the difference between a men's Bible study at church versus what Jack was just sharing there. We do focus in on, hopefully you're getting also executive entrepreneurial faith-based leadership as a regular key at home, at work, and in the world, so that it's not just, I hate to say though, it's not just a Bible study, but it's opening up into aspects of how are you leading at home? How are you leading at work? And how are you leading in the world? Scott, just, I know you've also been invested in some Bible studies and things. What are just some aspects for you, Scott, that have been a little bit different with the MLC?
Yeah, I just find it refreshing, I guess, similar to what Marco said and Chad as well. Just having a group of men around that I really don't have anywhere else in my life that helps keep me going down the right railroad tracks and helps me to apply what I learn every Friday morning at work. But, throughout my career, it would have been great to have this 10 years ago, but it really helps me at home probably a lot more, being a husband and being a dad. So just it's taking the Bible and taking all of our inputs and helping each other be better and be, again, going down the right road in walking with Jesus. So, and how do I apply that every day, not just Sunday morning, but it brings it into the everyday work week, which is very helpful.
Nice. Yeah, I appreciate that. That's really good. Yeah. And then number 4, how long have some of you been a part of the MLC and what keeps you coming back? Let's go to a long termer and then a short termer. Let's take a look real quick at maybe like Steve McNeese. You're one of our long-term leaders, been involved. Dave Foster's another one, chairman of our board. Maybe you guys could jump in real quick with, you've been around for a long time. What keeps you guys coming back?
Well, yeah, I mean, I think I was there on day one, Andy, when we started having these Zoom calls, and it's been awesome to watch it grow from there. I think, listening to everybody else, talk through some of these other questions, I think it's the same thing. The structure and the consistency is extremely important. It used to be something that, I looked at it, oh, I've got that call coming up, but now it's just a regular expected. It's part of my life. I mean, I look forward to Fridays. I'm a workaholic and I look forward every morning to going to work. Now I've kind of replaced that with I'm going to get through work so I can get to Friday because I just love the calls. Jack talking about being virtual and being able to call in on Zoom from wherever you are is a great point, because we have guys who travel for work, but yet they're still able to get on the call and get connected to that community regardless of where they are, whether they're traveling for work or they're on vacation. I mean, I've called in from all over the place on vacation too. So it's just an awesome, consistent thing.
Let me ask you, Steve, about that. There's such a big there was, and Dave, for you too, because you guys probably are on a lot of Zoom calls. There's this thing called Zoom burnout. So many business meetings on Zoom that people started to get frustrated with it. I'll start with Steve and then jump into Dave. What's different about Obie and I really try to break through what's called the fourth wall, and make you guys feel like you're in the room. We're very intentional about that. Steve, what do you find about the Friday morning platform that we have on Zoom, and what is it about what we're doing that maybe keeps you from Zoom burnout, where you're actually looking forward to jump on a Zoom call versus, oh no, I got another one?
Yeah, I think what really makes it different is the fact that, this Zoom call starts at, 6:45 at the latest. And I always like getting on as early as I can at 6:45 and then greeting people as they jump on, because I think that, it's not just a meeting. This is just a way for us to hang out and talk about life and learn about each other's families and what they're going through, and that's part of the community. That's what's great about it. Looking back at the, I don't know what it was, number 2, the reason why I got hooked into this and joined it. Obviously, I was there at the beginning helping you out and all that, but I've been married for 33 years, and one of the things I realized is I just didn't have a close group of guy friends in my life. Right or wrong, my focus was on my wife when we got married, and then my children, and so those relationships just kind of got set aside, and and that was missing in my life, and the MLC has replaced that.
Yeah, very natural for most men, by the way. A lot of research that when we make it into our adult years and working and marriage and children, we fall away from friendships.
Yep.
Just kind of naturally. So, and do you think, one last question for you, Steve, 33 years into a marriage, do you think it's good to have a bunch of brothers around reminding you or encouraging you, or maybe even learning new things about what it means to be a good husband?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There are things that we've covered over the last 5 years that have definitely helped in my relationship with my wife and parenting, and and she knows that too. She knows that we're you know going through things that have made me better, or she is expecting that they're making me better.
Yeah, right.
I still stumble and fall, but I've got a brotherhood of men that I can reach out to and help me out. So it's been great.
Nice. Yeah, Dave, our chairman of our board, been there from day one. Dave was actually one of the first emails that I sent out when I was going through my anxiety and experiencing depression for the first time during COVID. And good buddy Dave, I reached you, Dave, Steve. There was 5 of us that I reached out to. Dave, what do you think being a long-termer?
My memory's maybe a little different. When Texas shut down in the spring of 2020, I went to Colorado. And my memory is it started off like 3 or 4 families for a few weeks. Right. And we did it with like Steve's family. And I had one of my nephews with me at the time. And then it morphed pretty quickly. You pivoted, and why don't we get a group of guys to do this?
Yeah.
And an earlier question was a men's organization I've been involved with. I had not been involved in a men's faith organization since college with FCA.
Okay.
And I think back then my motivation, everything back then was different. I think I was motivated by girls and and self-idolatry.
Yeah.
And another thing, I'm going to unpack a few things here because I did
Sure.
ask
Thanks.
earlier questions. What MLC means to me, it reminds me of the Bible verse in Psalms, 23:3, he restores my soul, he refreshes my soul.
Uh-huh.
Never not come away from a call. I've done the last 2 calls remote from Las Vegas. You talk about being in the desert.
Yeah.
And you get to come back to this and be tethered in that place of corruption. It's invaluable to me. So I feel so. I've never been here when I didn't walk away refreshed. And Marco Lopez, your vulnerability earlier on the call, dude, you're a hero. I mean, the fact that you put it out there every Friday and ask questions, that's what it's all about, man.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome, Dave.
Well, I know it won't be judged here, and that's the whole reason I think this group is so important. Is I think for us or for me, I never wanted to sound stupid or ask questions. I was afraid that I should know this. I don't have to feel that way here, so that's why this group is so important to me. And I think for a lot of guys, I think I speak on for other guys too.
This may be a sin, Andy, like FOMO. The only time I ever have FOMO is when I miss a live event with MLC.
They're good. They're good. They are.
I'll call Russ and I go, was there a happy hour while I was out of town? Did I miss something? But yeah.
Nice.
Thanks for letting me ramble.
Yeah, no, thanks, Dave. And I want to go one more and see Anthony. Where are you at this morning, Anthony? And kind of what are your thoughts? You've been a long-termer with us, especially remote, and you keep coming back. Let's see, he may not be able to talk right now. All right. Well, let's throw it in for a couple of newer guys. CJ, I saw you with a great mountain background behind you just a minute ago. Are you able to hear us this morning, CJ, as you're walking around?
Yeah, I can hear you. I'm just checking out the hotel lobby right now. It's getting ready for breakfast.
Nice.
Yeah, we're out by the Rocky Mountain National Park.
Wow. Yeah, so having an online Friday morning is pretty convenient, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I'd be able to make this call, but we're an hour behind, so it worked out well.
No worries. So as kind of a little bit newer to the MLC, probably a year now, maybe a little less.
I think so. Yeah. Basically, you told me about it when ran into you in the church at Water's Edge and just kept coming back. Took a while to make it as consistent as you guys offer it, but I just love the focus of talking about men's leadership and something that can apply to guys in general. I feel like today's culture guys don't get much respect just to be ourselves and our strengths, our weaknesses. It's all things that you guys talk about. It's all on the table. Plus, you guys also have a lot of experience on things that I don't have. You've been places, done things, seen things that I haven't experienced yet. And I just appreciate your guys' wisdom in those areas.
That's awesome. Yeah. And you pointed out a big one. I think, it's been in the news once again that men are just denigrated in our society right now, kind of treated as stupid cartoon buffoons. And thank God for, people that can come in front of us and lead us by the nose to where we need to go, which isn't true. And to bring back authentic manhood in Jesus Christ and what that means with having a bold humility in the way that we live our lives is pretty huge for men right now, CJ. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Just to know that we have a purpose and a place. I really appreciate that you guys offer that.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, CJ. Appreciate it. We'll jump forward to a couple more, Obie.
Yeah, on a scale from 1 to 10, guys, how satisfied are you with the overall experience with the MLZ Zoom calls, the happy hours, the retreat? Have we exceeded, met, or fallen short of your expectations? And please know that this is, again, a safe place. We are open. We will listen. We are actively listening. And it's the desire of our hearts. It's our desire of our hearts to make this better.
Absolutely. Yeah, we'll jump in with maybe a fresher face too. Somebody a little bit newer to us is Richard Kohler. How long have you been coming on the MLC, Richard?
I think I'm about a year and a half now.
Okay.
I started coming in October 2023 because you were talking about it at church and my wife was elbowing me. And but it's been great. I love it. I think y'all have a great balance between the digital and the Zoom to the personal of the happy hours and the retreats. I've found, I've been part of Bible studies in the past, and it's light talk and light community, but then I've kind of lost touch with all those guys. But with the men's group or the MLC, I feel like I've built relationships. And I mean, it's probably a lot through the, being vulnerable, because people will come up to me, hey, how you doing? I've been praying for you. Appreciate Obie's will send me texts. The WhatsApp is really nice to reach out. And so I think I love it. Yeah, I give it a 10. And I think y'all are doing a great job. Good blend of real versus just using current technology.
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for the positive responses. Looking once again to somebody a little bit newer, Michael, and only being able to connect with us really, Michael, on Zoom. Just give us some feedback on the Friday morning Zoom calls and what you think after such a big full life of experience and leadership and having some of these young bucks on the call to talk to.
Well, after listening to JB talk about you all for quite some time, I just decided to try it one morning. I've been part of several different Bible studies, and I think while they've been great, I've learned a lot. Some of them have an intensity that gets the vulnerability of those, intensity of those, create a lot of anxiety. The spontaneity of this, the lightheartedness, but yet the seriousness of the issues, it's quite a combination. The variety of people on this call are obviously significant in their backgrounds and their callings, but it's just kind of refreshing. It's uplifting when I listen to this on, even though it's so early in the morning. For an old guy, getting up before noon is tough. But I just, JV's just, he would lighten up when he would talk about it.
Oh, wow.
A couple of years before he got on it. And I said, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot. But I like the variety. I like the communication. And most people seem to feel pretty comfortable just talking. So it's been a treat.
Nice. Thank you so much, Michael. Well, JB, that's a pretty good segue into number 6. Why don't we have you jump in on how would you describe, your experience with the MLC, beginning with how many times did Steve have to invite you?
Many, many, many times. And it was, it was like a lot of people. It was, oh, here's another group I got to join. And it's going to kind of be while, like Richard said, I learned a lot from different groups. It wasn't the same. I don't know. It wasn't the same camaraderie. And I've known Steve almost my whole life. So I figured, okay, I ran out of excuses. I couldn't say no anymore. I didn't have any legit excuses. So I hopped in and really the first call I was on, I realized this was a very, very different Bible study group, men's group than I've been on in the past. I love the fact, like Mike said, that we could joke around, that there's a lightheartedness to it, but there's also a seriousness side as well, which, and for me, I think a lot of times men have a hard time communicating where we're not doing stuff as they're communicating. Either we're fishing, we're camping, we're cooking, we're playing a sport. So it's harder for men to just sit down and talk. And so it was the first time I've seen men be able to do that in this environment. And it was just, I was hooked right away. I really was.
Nice. And then what brought you into actually wanting to promote the MLC? Because there's a difference between hey, somebody invited me, I finally ran out of excuses, I joined, wow, I really liked it, then to making the leap to being, for a lot of you may not know, JB and TJ are our social media leaders, but JB jumped into wanting to promote the MLC on our social media and actually now is curating our podcast. So what took you from the leap of wanting to, I like the call, I'm going to join it, to, wow, I really want to promote this to other people?
I think it was the first time I was in a group where I've been in other Bible study groups where I thought it was great for me, but man, I don't know if I want to bring someone else into this. I don't know if they're ready for this. And it was the first time I was in a group where I was like, I would love for anyone I know just to jump onto a call, because it was very non-threatening, because the Zoom aspect makes it you can just listen if you want to and see if it's for you. You're not face to face. You don't have to, like, some people get very uncomfortable with the walk into a group, everyone says hi to you. That scares a lot of people away. So it was the first time I thought I could invite anyone I know, and they wouldn't be, if they don't like it, they don't have to jump on the next call, but at least it gives them a chance to expose to it. And I was really happy and proud to show them, hey, check this out. This is really awesome. I think you'll like it, without worried about them being intimidated or turned off or having to be pushed into a commitment right away. And so it kind of made it very unthreatening to invite somebody. It's as a unfortunately person of this world, it made it very, very low stress for me if they didn't like it.
Yeah. Awesome. That's
Hey,
awesome.
Andy,
And yeah, go ahead.
can I just ask a follow-up question, or maybe I'll throw this out there and then we can talk about it towards the end, but this kind of goes out to like JB and Gunner and Obie, who I invited and they finally showed up. Is just, my question is, what did I say that got you to try it out? Or what could I have said that maybe would have gotten you to try it out sooner? I'm very passionate about, sharing what we're doing here with the MLC with other men. I mean, I'm constantly talking to people, and, sometimes it goes on a down spurt. Nobody will join. I've invited people literally weekly. And like in Gunner's case, somebody I met over in Europe, and we started talking one day, and I could tell that, this was something that I thought he would really get benefit from. But, I'm really curious about why the people that I invited actually tried it out, or what could I have said to get them to try it out earlier?
Yeah, I'll answer that one for me, Steve. It was that you didn't stop. It's easy. Unfortunately, I wish it wasn't the case. It's easy for me to say no a couple times. That you can kind of make. It's real. We're all probably pretty good at, like, no, hey, maybe not now. Just, you never hear about it again. But when someone doesn't stop after a while, you're like, okay, okay, I'm going to join. I'll at least listen to one time and see what I think. But I think your determinedness is like, and it helped that I knew you so well. It's like, okay, if Steve's feels this is important and he's not going to stop, then I probably should listen to it. And I think it was that determinedness that made a difference for me. If you had just asked me once or twice, I wouldn't be on this call. But the fact that you asked me several times over a period of time, not every week, like, okay, here's a typical, it was like a week, then maybe 2 weeks later, then maybe 2 weeks after that. And that you didn't stop is what made me join.
Wow. Yeah, that's great.
I think that for me, and and it's kind of the idea that we had just met overseas. We're in a bus, and we're just, all of us are just sitting there and having such a great time. And I think the friendship value came quickly. The idea that this is a group of people we'd like to spend our week with, and have some fun and eat lunches with and hang out at the places where we went, and and do all that. And then when you brought it up to me, I was like, oh yeah, well, I'll give it a shot, because I was looking for places, something like this. And one of my boys, when he's in high school, was a football player or whatever, and now he's starting his own men's group. And so it's kind of became a curious thing for me. But it's interesting to me that it's like, okay, here we are, we met 1 week, you ask me, and I come, and I'm on there, and then JB takes forever, and he's known him forever. So but it's just a matter of how often you try and how many times you bring it up. It's an example of don't give up on the person. Just keep asking. They're not saying no just to say no because they don't want to. They're saying no because they're afraid. We're afraid. We don't know what's on that side of it. And I was glad, and I'm very happy that I said yes on the, at least I would give it the try. And because I had really no idea exactly what it entailed,
Yeah.
and you guys have, we were talking just a second ago about structure, and that we could come in and say, hey, good morning, boy, that's a big cup of coffee you got there. And to get right into it, and then it seems all of a sudden everybody goes muted and everyone is listening, talking, when they're asked to talk or whatever. And it's just, we get through the slides, and you're Andy, you're like making fun of yourself and your technology or lack of knowledge on it and how you're growing and throughout. And it's just very friendly, very vulnerable.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, that's the main reason why we have Obie, is his IT capabilities. So I'm
That's
kidding.
right.
Obie.
But we need a spell checker.
Mhm. Well, for me, Steve invited me one time, and I did, and I'll tell you why. Back in 2009, a month after we had bought our condo, I was let go from Freedom Park. I had built a lot of relationships there, and you guys know that I pour into it, and I opened up myself, and I mean, I had a lot of good friends there that even some of them were at my wedding. The day I lost my job there, all of those people that I thought were my friends disappeared. People that I loved, that I did community with, that I texted with, everybody. In the moment where I needed men the most, where I needed friends the most, everybody deserted me. And it wasn't just me that lost my job. My wife lost my job 3 days later. And that was 4 years of the valley. And the only person that reached out to me and that stayed in contact with me through that whole ordeal was Steve.
Yeah.
And so when he said, hey, I think you would really like this. Yeah. I wanted to really hang out with Steve and see his face. And then Andy, I had heard about Andy from Steve. And so it's what I wanted, and I fit right in. I like people that are honest and open and vulnerable, because I try to be that way.
No, and it's huge also just to talk about not only the growth of the friendships, but in the value of the MLC to others. The value of the MLC radically, exponentially blew up when Obie and I built a friendship with each other, and Obie immediately was ready to be a leader. And now the back and forth of the relationship that we share openly, honestly, and vulnerably on the call, I think opens it up to even more guys sharing Obie. And it wouldn't be the same if we didn't have the give and take that we have on the Friday mornings. No, I mean, not at all. So you see how often do we think that a friendship that we have with another man, and the way that other people's are watching that or viewing that, might open them up to friendships too? And I think that's the value of the MLC, is just watching friendships take place in time and saying, wow, okay, I'd like to be a part of that.
To be able to, to more than anything, to be able to say, I want to open up myself, because that requires a certain level of trust, right? Because you're opening up yourself for other people to know you, and not just the parts of you that have been hurt, but maybe the parts of you that you feel are ugly, that nobody can love, even those parts maybe that you struggle with, that you think God's grace may not cover that.
Which is, isn't that great to be on a call where you're going to have a bunch of brothers tell you that's absolutely not true. God's grace is greater than your sin.
Amen.
Always, always. And to have that encouragement. And some of our most powerful calls have been when different guys have shared their hero's journey, which includes their failures, their brokenness, their sin, their journey through the dark valley, and that they were not alone, but that Christ was with them, and that they have been forgiven and grace has covered over their sin. And those are some of the most powerful calls when we have those opportunities to share our hero's journey with one another. So,
and Andy, and the enemy does, he wants you to think that he wants you to think that you are the only one that's going through something, that struggles with a certain thing, right? To keep you on that shame, that leash of shame, right? But having a place where you can say, listen, guys, this is what I'm struggling with, and for other guys to say, yeah, I know, we do too, because the enemy always wants to make you feel like you are the only one that's struggling with this among the other saints, and he's accusing you before the Lord, saying, look at this, I thought he was your man, Andy, I thought you were the man, and here you are struggling with something that you should know by now, 30 years into your walk with Christ. How could this be, when in fact all of us are going through the same thing? And hopefully, if you have not been able to be at that point with somebody, I'm hoping that this is a day where you say, it's time for me to open up and let down the gate that you kept guarded, around with the moat and the sharks and the alligators, and allow other people in, so that you can experience what life, a manly brotherhood, God created it for. You can experience life within the confines of manly relationship, God, Christ-centered relationship.
Yep. No, I agree. Yeah, I'm going to ask again, Chad, you're one of the newer guys, been on for a little while. I'm going to ask you number 7 and just get your thoughts on how relevant and helpful do you think the conversations on Friday morning are to you? Are they engaging, stimulating, encouraging? What could we do to actually do better at that and engaging more new guys?
Yeah, I think it's been good just how like the different topics are useful and practical. There's different Bible studies I do just to learn more about the Bible itself, but this is more application focused, which is good. And it's been helpful in that regard.
Okay.
I don't really have like a leadership position at work, so sometimes some of those topics don't apply necessarily, but that I'm still there. It's been good just to kind of see how.
Okay, great. Yeah. Well, guys, we're running up on time, so we're going to just do, show you that we've got some more questions, Obie. We're going to actually put together an actual survey and send it out through our MailChimp, and hopefully get you guys to respond on, what do you consider to be the greatest strengths? I think we've heard some of them about authentic community and brotherhood. We really want to hear some specific areas where you believe the MLC could grow or improve. What are we missing? What could we be doing better? Really on a scale, that goes with on a scale of, 0 to 10, how connected and supported do you feel? If you don't feel connected or supported, please let us know when you respond in a way that we could do that better. And for those of you that are giving, do you believe you're getting a good return on your investment of time and donations? Are we living up to, the trustworthiness of the gifts that you're laying in our hands? And are we utilizing them well in order to reach others? And then here's the last one, just kind of, are we effectively communicating our vision, mission, and values, open, honest, and vulnerable, bringing peace to a broken world? How welcoming and inclusive? What are your hopes and expectations for the future? And then, we talked about this a little bit. This is a big one. On a scale of 0 to 10, how likely are you to recommend us or to invite somebody else? And JB, I really love that you hit on an aspect of trust. I trust now that when I invite somebody else, I'm not going to be embarrassed, to invite them to this. And that's a huge aspect that happens. Why don't we invite people to our churches? Are we doing a great job at our churches where we're like, in a humbly biblically way, Obie, we're proud to invite people to our church because we're going to invite you here. You're going to hear about Jesus. The same with the MLC, this humble pride that, we're going to invite you here and it's going to be well done. It's going to be focused on God's word. Christ is going to be at the center. You're going to have men being open, honest, and vulnerable with one another, sharing life experiences. Do you trust that? Because really invitations are based on trust. The fear that Gunnar kind of talked about, the embarrassment, is because you don't trust what's going to take place in that moment, and you don't want to be embarrassed to invite somebody else into it. And we want to continue to not only earn your trust, but we want you to know that we value your trust. And that's usually best expressed through invitations to others. And then kind of just some practical ones. Have you visited our website or our social media platforms? Please let us know. Were they easy to find? Were they easy to understand? To use our website and our social media? And then, of course, just drop us any other comments that you or suggestions you might like to share, because this really is a time where we want to listen. We want to share it with our board. We have a board of 9 brothers that help lead the MLC and keep its direction moving forward. So any comments that you have or suggestions, please share them. So Obie and I are going to get together. We're going to put together that feedback loop as a survey, Obie, and we're going to send it out through our MailChimp and hopefully get some great responses from some guys. So before you pray, Obie, any last thoughts from you on this series, or especially today on the feedback loop? Uh-oh, Obie, can you hear me? Are you there?
I'm here.
Yeah, so I just asked any other thoughts from you.
Oh, I thought you were asking everybody.
There was dead air. I love it.
No.
So, what a great partnership these two guys have with one another.
I thought you were asking everybody. I was like,
I
can't handle this anymore.
I was waiting for everybody too. I was like, okay, I'm waiting to see if anybody else.
That was like one of those great videos where I went up for a high five and you just walked right by and everyone's like,
and no, really, and I really hope you pray about it, and and not only as you answer the survey honestly, open and honestly, but really ask God how He can use you. God didn't just call you to just sit here and soak it all in day after day. As He's given you skills, talents, aptitudes, resources, so that you can use them for His glory. And He asks us to use them. And so He can use anybody, whatever it may be, no matter what it is. Ask God to see if He is stirring within you maybe a desire to be a part of the MLC, other than just joining, to see. And there's a lot of joy in that. I promise you that. And it will not come back empty. So be praying about that.
Yeah. You want to pray us out then, Obie?
I would. Thank you, God, for allowing us to have a place where we can be open, honest, and vulnerable. We provide this place because that is what you provide for us. Now that we have access to the Father, that the veil has been torn, and we can be open, honest, and vulnerable with you. And I think that's where growth happens. And we want to acknowledge our need for you, because it doesn't happen when we close our hands and shut down, build walls. You want us to open up our hearts, tear down those walls, open up the moats, so that you can come in and really begin to deal with even those parts of us that we've maybe kept sealed away in a corner because we're too ashamed, we're too afraid that maybe the men here wouldn't love us as much, or maybe you wouldn't. Your grace is not strong enough to cover that. Give us that freedom. Let your Holy Spirit begin moving hearts, so that men may be able to find a new level of intimacy with you that we didn't have before. We love you, and it's in your name we pray. Amen.
Thanks for joining and listening. We hope that you were truly blessed. Now, you can join the live call every Friday morning at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, and please bring a friend. And to learn more about the MLC, visit our website at themlc.life. That's themlc.life. Have a great day.